Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's Angela, and today we are going to talk all about sharing your story, how to write. So I know a lot of people have this on their bucket list, have this great desire to write a book, to publish their story, to share what's on their heart. And then we kind of get stuck, right? We get bogged down in all the I don't know if I should, I don't know if I can, how would I even do it, and we kind of talk ourselves out of it, and then we never get around to fulfilling our dream. But I think that everybody has a story to share, and I truly believe in the power of sharing your story, in the power of sharing your message with others. I think that when we share from our lived experience, from the way we experience the world, that we empower other people, that we help other people. We get to help people that we will never actually meet in real life. And it's amazing, right? It's amazing what we can do when we share our story. So what I want to do today is I want to cover a few things, right? First of all, figuring out what to write, how to get our stories out on paper, overcoming the dreaded writer's block, overcoming fear of judgment, right? Worrying about what other people say, how I kind of get my thoughts on paper, how I organize my writing, how I know other people organize their writing. So suggestions on how to do that, and how to structure your story and make it so that people want to read it. So feel free to drop questions as we go into the comments. I'm happy to answer them. I guess I'll start with the why should you even listen to me, right? I always forget this part. And my friends and family and my people and stuff, they're like, Angela, you forgot to tell them why they should even listen to you. So my name is Angela Bell. I'm a mompreneur success coach, women's wealth advocate. I also work in publishing. I am a 6 times international best-selling author. I have my own anthology series. So the Mom Magic series, I created that back in 2022. We have 3 books out. Hello from Murphy, North Carolina. They've hit bestseller categories in 7 countries and over 30 categories. I've self-published. I've published with a publisher. I've written a solo book. I've written multiple anthologies. So needless to say, I do a lot of writing. And my writing seems to do well. So I'll tick that why you should listen to me box. All right, so let's dive in. Let's start with figuring out what to write. Oftentimes we will have these great ideas for stories. Awesome. And then when we sit down to write, we're like, I don't know what to write about. Here's the thing. I'm gonna make this very, very simple. You do know what to write about. If you don't think you know what to write about, you're overthinking it. You're judging yourself. One of the ways I figure out what to write about is I sit and I think about what I am constantly thinking about, or what am I constantly talking about, or what do people come to me and ask me a lot of questions about, right? What do I find my conversations revolve around? What do I see in the world that needs to be changed? What do I feel passionately about? Right? All of these things can be something that you could write about. What is your story? Right? How did you get to where you are? What have you overcome? What have you created? What have you learned? Right? I mean, your lived experience, the way you have gotten through things, the way you have transformed your life, how you have moved from point A to point B is your story. So when figuring out what to write about, look at what stories you tell most frequently. What do you talk to people about most often? What do you feel that rise in your body when you start talking about it, right? I always say at the end of something, I'm going to climb off my soapbox now, because it's that passion. I could feel myself passionately speaking about something. And when I get passionate, I get really passionate. And sometimes I can be a bit overwhelming, but I like it. So what do you get passionate about, right? What do you really, really feel into? Those are all things to write about. Okay. What unique experiences do you have? And before you judge your lived experience and say, there's nothing unique about my experience, there's nothing special about it. Yes, there is. Okay. That is the first step, is recognizing that there is value to your life. There's value to your lived experience. There's value to you as a person. Passionate about meaningful engagement. I love that. I would read that book. I get overwhelmed by engagement. I am great at speaking to people. I get overwhelmed when I have to engage on a micro level. But your experience, your life, you matter. And while you might not think it's all that important or all that exciting, it's because you know it, you lived it, you know what you know. But 90% of people out there don't know what you know. And you might be that voice that someone needs to hear. So sit down and just think about, what is it that you are passionate about? What is it that what is unique to you, right? And then make a list. Ask other people too, right? I like to ask people you trust. Don't ask jerks. That's always my biggest recommendation. Don't go to somebody that you know historically has always crushed your dreams. Just don't. You can still love them without asking for their insights. Okay, how do I overcome writer's block? This is a big one. Drum roll, please, because this is going to be really underwhelming. But here's the straight truth about writer's block. Writer's block is just a really fancy name given to self-judgment and feelings of unworthiness, okay? When we say we have writer's block, what we are saying is that it's not that we don't have ideas. It's not that we don't have thoughts on what we could write about. It's that we don't think they're good enough. We don't think that they're worth expanding upon. So writer's block is just a new word that it's not even new, right? It's just a word that is used in author circles to say what we already talk about in mindset circles, in coaching circles, in self-help circles, in therapy circles, and anything like that, which is overcoming your limiting beliefs and valuing yourself, right? We're finding yourself worthy of sharing. It's just jargon, right? But it's not actually a unique experience to authors. It is something we all experience. And so we all know how to work through it. But when it comes specifically to writing, a couple things that I do. Back when I had a computer that had a monitor and a tower and a keyboard, I used to turn off my screen while I wrote. So I would turn off my screen so that I could not see spelling mistakes. I could not see grammar errors. I could not see what I was writing. And then that way I could just type without judging myself. If you're working with a laptop, you can just put a towel or put a t-shirt over your screen. Make it so that you cannot see and therefore judge what you are writing. Another thing that I like to do is I will record my thoughts on the voice recorder on my Apple iPhone while I'm out for a walk or while I'm out for a run. I often get struck by inspiration while I'm running, usually when I'm in the middle of nowhere with zero access to a pen, paper, or computer. So what I do is I stop, I pause whatever audiobook I'm listening to, I open my voice recorder, and I kind of walk for a bit while I speak my thoughts into my voice recorder. In fact, you can write an entire book like this, right? You could literally voice record your entire book and then use a transcription service like rev.com, Otter AI, Fireflies, any of these, transcription services that you can use will turn your voice notes into written work that you can then edit and move around and shift and turn into a book. So if you don't do well, if you find that you get blocked when you actually pick up a pen or sit down in front of your keyboard, voice record it. This works really well for people who have, dyslexia or other neurodivergent challenges that make it hard to use a pen, paper, or keyboard. So yeah, voice record it, send it to a transcriber. And the great thing is a lot of it is computer generated. So you don't even need to worry about a real person listening to you, right? So we can push that fear of judgment out the way. And there's free writing. So this is often recommended in spiritual and self-help and coaching circles, and that's free writing on topics. So it's just writing without thinking or without reading what you've written. This can be hard for some if they can't separate themselves from the action, but if you can, free writing is a great way to get things done on paper. So once you kind of work through this idea that writer's block is really just self-judgment or, a self-confidence thing. That all goes down to valuing your lived experience, to valuing what you have to say, to understanding that you are worthy just because you are, that the world needs to hear what you have to say. Your desires were put on your heart for you to bring to life, for you to live. There's nothing wrong with your way of doing it. It doesn't need to be right. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be yours. That is where the value is, in you and you sharing your message in your way, not the way I would, not the way Gabby Bernstein would, not the way someone else would, your way. Somebody needs to hear it your way. Okay. So how do you organize your thoughts when you've got a whole bunch of them? There's a few different ways that I like to do this. A lot of people like to outline their books, right? So they'll kind of craft an outline of it. For me, I write down key thoughts, key points, big ideas that are important to me that I want to include. And then there's a few ways you can do it. So I write for each one of the big ideas, and then I organize it into a book or a chapter. You can use sticky notes. This is a good one. So you can use sticky notes and write down all your thoughts onto sticky notes, put them up on a wall, and then start to organize them that way until you see a flow. You can draw pictures. I like to draw charts. I really love, I can get lost in them, these online like flow diagram softwares that you can actually just move things around. So if you're really big on digital and tech, then you can do it online. I like pens and papers as well, so I do like sticky notes. And there's all sorts of different ways, right? And so then for me, the reason I suggest these sorts of tools is because I like to visually see things. It helps me understand what I'm doing. But maybe you don't need to. Maybe you don't need to see it visually. Maybe knowing it in your mind is enough. But once you kind of get your main points down, you'll understand how they need to come together. So when I sit down and I start to write, and this is what I tell all of my authors in my anthologies, I always say, start with the end in mind. How do you want people to feel? What action do you want them to take? What inspiration do you want to leave them with? What do you want to motivate them to do? What do you want this piece of writing to do? Start with the end in mind. Then, once you know what you want your end result to be, look at your lived experience and say, what information about myself do I need to share with the audience to let them know that they should listen to me about this endpoint? Right? So, like at the beginning here, I said, why should you listen to me about writing? Well, here's the experience I have. Here are all the things I've done. Here's, the awards or, titles that I have. Here's why I am an expert and can sit here and tell you about writing. So you want to look at the end result and then look at your lived experience and say, what do I need to share with the audience so that they know what I am telling them is true, or they can trust it, or that I'm talking from experience. And then you want to fill it in the middle, right? So what tools, techniques, and skills do you need to share with them throughout your writing to help them get to that end result? What stories, what references, what to-do lists, what action steps do you need to share? And then look at the beginning. I look at starting the opening paragraph at the end. So the first 3 to 5 sentences are the most important ones, right? Because they're the ones that are going to convince people they should be reading the rest of your book or chapter. So it's like what they teach in marketing, right? It's that hook, story, close. So hook, how are you going to get them in? How are you going to bring the reader in and get them to keep reading? Maybe it is an interesting fact. Maybe you're a big fan of that like shock and awe thing, right? Maybe you have a really cool fact about yourself that nobody knows, that when you share it, people are going to be like, what? Or a neat story or a neat punchline that people will be like, I need to know more about that. What you don't want to do is start with, hi, my name is Angela Bell. In this chapter, I am going to tell you about blank. Why? Because that's kind of boring, right? Start with the thing that's going to bring them in. You can get to the hi, my name is Angela Bell and what I'm going to tell you part. Don't do it in the first 3 to 5 sentences. Okay. So that's how I get the basis of what I'm going to write. Some people like to do mind maps. Okay. So they will sit down and they will be like, and again, oftentimes they're starting with the end in mind. Okay, I want people to feel this, or I want my story to be about X, or I want to talk about Y. And they'll write that in the center, and then they'll write a bunch of words that relate to that. And then each of those words, they'll write words or thoughts that relate to that. And then once they have this big spider web, also known as a mind map, you look through it and you look for common themes, repeated words, patterns, because that is what your subconscious is telling you is important. When it comes to writing, we all have something to share, right? We all have this idea, this story that plays in our head that we wish people knew. This thing that we're like, if people just knew this, it would change their life. We all have that. We just often don't value it, right? So that gets me to my next point. How do we value ourselves and our experience enough to write about it? Well, to start with, I guess recognize that you're one in a million, one in a cajillion. What you're unique, right? There's only one you. Um, if you don't share your message, the world will never receive it. If you don't share your gifts, the world will never experience them. If you do not share that story, it will go unknown. The world will be deprived of that knowledge. Only you can share your story. Only you. No one else knows what you know. No one else has experienced what you've experienced. No one else has lived what you've lived. Only you can share it. And if that isn't enough for you to value your experience and your story, then here's the thing. When we share our experience, we create space for others to feel seen, heard, not alone. So even if all you sharing your story does is give one person out there in the world a safe space to feel normal, isn't that enough? Right? I mean, I've listened. Hold on. I was listening to Amanda Frances talk, and she was talking about how this person started this Facebook group where they would share her posts, and it was all dedicated to making fun of her, and it was all dedicated to this, that, and the other. And that every time she put content out, she knew these people were going to do that. And weird thing, that made me feel normal, because once upon a time I had a person that had a web page dedicated to how awful I was. And I thought I was the only person that had ever lived that experience. I thought it was the reason I could not be an influencer, the reason I could not impact the world was because this was going to happen. And then hearing her say that made me feel normal and gave me courage and encouraged me to be more visible. So isn't that enough? For me, it was. For me, her sharing that story was absolutely enough. What if you could be that for someone else? Right? So when it comes to, I wish I could say more about how to value your story and how to value yourself, but here's one thing I want you to remember. When you don't value your story, I do. When you don't think it's enough, I think it's enough. When you don't think that it will help anybody, I know with absolute certainty and experience, it is going to help somebody, maybe even change their life. So if you don't want to believe in yourself, let me believe in you for you while you get started. Eventually, you will start to believe in yourself too. Okay, so if you need to use me to help you get started, I am here for that, please. So how to structure your story, we touched on this a little bit. You want to start with your hook. How are you drawing people in? Pardon me. Then you want to get to the parts about you that make you an expert. Why should people listen to you about this? Then you want to get into the bulk of the information that you want to share. So the how-tos, the words of wisdom, the guidance, the all that stuff. In and around that, depending on your word count that you have available, you want to share, personal experiences or, bits of information that reinforce the validity of what it is you're sharing. And then you want to wrap up with your call to action, right? What do you want people to take away? What do you want them to feel? How do you want them to move forward? What do you want them to do? Don't ever forget the call to action, right? A lot of us worry about this. Oh, I don't want to, sell people at the end of my story. Why not? Why not? They don't know you've got a way to help them if you don't tell them, right? And someone might need your help. So tell them. You don't have to be pushy. You don't have to be salesy, but just say, hey, if you think I can help you, here is how you find me. Or if this helps you, go to this website because that's where I share more tools that might help you. But don't be afraid to tell people how you can help them further. So, okay. So one thing I do want to get into is, what is the benefit, right? So what's the benefit to you writing your story outside of impacting the world, getting it off your heart and out into the world, creating a legacy? What are the other benefits of writing your story, of becoming a published author, of fulfilling and ticking off that bucket list item? First and foremost, it helps to build credibility, right? I mean, when you are confident enough about what you're writing, or you are committed enough to put it into writing and publish it out into the world, that says something to people. It says something about you. It says something about your belief in what you're saying. And so it builds up expertise. It builds up credibility. It can be it turns into a revenue stream, right? So when you publish your book, you get royalties when the book sells. Now, the royalty structure depends on what publisher you use, or if you self-publish, or how it works. But let's say, for example, you work with She Rises Studios. That's the publishing company I work with. I keep all my royalties, right? All of the She Rises Studios authors keep their royalties. The publishing house doesn't take their royalties. So you would know that you get 100% of your royalties from all of your books sold. So it does become a income generator. Here's the thing, though. Everybody thinks that when they publish their first book, Oprah is going to call, Gabby's going to call, there's going to be $1 million check in the mail. This is simply not true. Okay. That doesn't mean it can't be true. It means, generally speaking, your first book is not going to make you a millionaire. It could, but I wouldn't bank on it. I have, like I said, 6 books out there, 7 if you include the first one I self-published. I do not make, my books don't make me a millionaire. My books make me happy. Sorry, you have to excuse me. I have this sinus cold thing, but I'm pushing through. My books make me happy. My books do make me money, but they don't, they haven't made me a millionaire, and that's okay. I still will continue to do them. I would do them otherwise. But you can make money both from selling your books through the royalties. You can buy wholesale copies and sell them and make money. You can use your book as a lead gen for your business, right? So you can offer it to people if they sign up for a course as part of a package. You can create workshops from your book, like break down your chapters into different workshop ideas. You can use the book as an upsell. You can bring it with you on speaking engagements. You can use the book to secure speaking engagements. So there's a lot of other things that, publishing does for you, and it opens a lot of doors, and it really can help you secure your brand and create, new clientele, create new networks, all that kind of stuff. So how do you publish a book? Well, here's the thing. You can go it alone. So you can self-publish. I've done that. I can tell you from my personal experience, whether you self-publish or publish with a publisher, you will still spend money, and you will spend roughly the same amount. The benefits of going with a publisher is that you get support, marketing, and they know things that you don't. You can write your own solo book. Okay, so you can write your own book. You can write children's books. You can create workshops or workbooks, journals, all that stuff. You can be a part of an anthology. I love anthologies. I think anthologies are a great way of sharing a common message and getting it in front of people. Anthologies, for those of you who don't know, are a collection of stories written by different people around a common theme that are packaged into a book, right? So each chapter is written by somebody else. What I love about them is that with a bunch of different authors, you get a bunch of different perspectives, opinions, and voices on a similar topic. So it increases the likelihood that everybody that reads that book is going to connect with somebody, right? Because it's not just one person's ideas. So yeah, you could create your own anthology. If you have something you want to get a bunch of people together to write about, you could create your own anthology and put it out there. I created the Mom Magic Anthology series. I love it. I am all about, raising the awareness and elevating the status of moms, of helping people change the narrative around motherhood. This idea that there's no such thing as just a mom, that we shouldn't use women's children against them and hold them back because they have children. If anything, moms are the most productive people in a workplace. Moms are superheroes with less fancy costumes, right? So if you are sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, hey, yes, Angela, I have a story to share. What should I do? Couple things. First and foremost, if you are a mom and you're interested in being a part of the Mom Magic series, we still have 3 books coming out. So the first 3 have been released: Mom Magic Mompreneur, Mom Magic Moms for Change, Mom Magic Moms in STEM, and now we are looking for network and affiliate marketing moms who have stories to share in book number 4, which is Moms Mastering Network and Affiliate Marketing. Here's the thing. I am crap at network marketing. I have tried it so many times and failed every single time. I truly believe it is an amazing income business for moms. It ticks so many boxes for them. It is the way of the future. And I am putting out book 4 because I really want to help change that discussion around MLM, multi-level marketing, affiliate marketing, selling to your network, because I think that these archaic and draconian beliefs we have around it and around, pyramid schemes and stuff is garbage. And it's depriving a lot of women of this great opportunity. And also, why wouldn't you buy from your friend if she has a business and is selling products you might like? Why wouldn't you? We're all talking about buy local, but not from an MLM. Come on, guys. No. So if you have an inspiring network or affiliate marketing story to share and you are a mom, let me know. I would love to have you in the book. And then there's Moms Paving the Way in Male-Dominated Industries and Moms Living and Living Outside the Box. Now, if you're listening and you're like, but Angela, I'm not a mom. No worries, friends. She Rises Studios also has 5 anthologies coming out. You probably fit into one. So there's Becoming an Unstoppable Woman, The Journey Continues. This is the 2-year anniversary of the first Becoming an Unstoppable Woman anthology that She Rises Studios put out. There's The Mindful Journey, The Force of Women CEOs, Female Leaders Behind the Scene, and I Am Worthy. I'm going to drop links for all of this after I wrap up here so that if you want to check some of this stuff out, you can. The other thing is that She Rises Studios is a full service publisher. So if you want to create your own anthology, they can help you with that. And if you are a solo author and you are looking to put out your own book, then right now they have a solo author promo where you can get 40% off the solo author packages. Okay. I'm going to share a link for that as well. So here's the thing. You can write a story. Writer's block is bullshit. You have a story to share. When you stop judging yourself long enough to admit that your story is worth sharing, then you can get started on sharing your story. If you need help, let me know. I'm here to help. I mean, I love writing and I love helping people share their story. I, hands down, truly believe in the power of sharing our lived experience. It's changed my life listening to other people's. I've changed lives sharing mine. And I think you can change lives sharing yours. So, if you just want to chat, if you have questions, let me know. Love to talk to people more about this. If there's anything in here you want me to expand about in a future workshop or a future Facebook Live, let me know. But yeah, unless anybody wants to drop some questions in the comments, I'm going to go soon. I'll give people a minute. Ooh, what is that? There we go. Okie dokie. Yeah, so like I said, with the solo author promo, I'm going to drop that in the bottom there, as well as all the landing pages and links for any of the anthologies available. And I will also actually drop a link if you want to schedule a chat with me just to talk about your ideas or talk about, what you got going on. That's cool. Okay. So thank you so much. Remember, your story matters. You matter. Share it. You could change lives. Okay. Love you. Bye.